basically had some demands that we have delivered in terms of the NYPD and Mayor Bloomberg, in terms of
De Blasio.
De Blasio. The second time I've done that. In terms of the NYC Pride March, and so we also wanted to deliver our demands today upon the Heritage of Pride, which is the administrator and organizer of the NYC Pride March, and I'd like to introduce Sister Gabriella.
Sister Gladiola of the New York City Disorder of Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
And she is going to read our demands, and then we also have a physical copy to give you as well.
Okay.
And
Are you Chris
your name
Frederick?
is?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Duncan Osborne, in case anyone.
Duncan.
Nice to meet you.
Reclaim Pride Coalition demands to Heritage of Pride. Whereas the New York City Pride March emerged out of an LGBT community tradition of mutual support and resistance against state, police, and societal oppression epitomized and symbolized by the 1969 Stonewall riots. And whereas the ascent of the Trump administration underscores the ongoing oppression of members of our community, particularly the most vulnerable members, including people of color, those who are transgender and or gender nonconforming, disabled people, and immigrants. And whereas the members of this coalition condemn all instances of police excessive force, the over-policing of our community, and police militarization. The Reclaim Pride Coalition, RPC, currently composed primarily of groups and individuals who marched together in the 2017 New York City Pride March as members of the Resistance Contingent, makes the following demands to Heritage of Pride as to 2018 New York City Pride March and future New York City Pride Marches. Thus are: 1. Police presence in March. This coalition demands that HOP joins in our demand for a public apology from NYPD for the part it played at Stonewall and for historic and ongoing violence by the NYPD against members of the LGBTQ community, particularly the most vulnerable members of our community. B. There are to be no uniformed or visibly armed police officers or their vehicles within the march, nor shall any police be afforded a place of pride near the front of the march, nor there shall be a police band. C. The prohibition extends to ICE and corrections officers and vehicles. 2. Police engagement at march. A. This coalition demands police-free zones at Christopher Street, the Pier, and the New York City AIDS Memorial Security will be provided by trained members of our community, and this coalition will provide a detailed plan for the training and implementation of our community security group. B. HOP must insist that the NYPD that there will be no police barricades along the march route and in the assembly areas for the march. C. HOP must call on the NYPD to not arrest people engaged in direct action protests, including to, but not limited to, die-ins or brief sit-ins within the march. HOP should not serve as a de facto extension of the NYPD. D. There shall be no cooperation between HOP nor the NYPD with ICE during the NYC Pride. 3. Community group participation versus commercial and political contingent participation. A. This coalition demands that no limits be placed as to the numbers of participants in the march in the community, activist, and for not-for-profit group contingents. More specifically, we reject the limit of 200 people in these contingents. B. This coalition demands that no wristbands be required of participants in these contingents. C. This coalition demands that the march contingents of corporate and for-profit entities be limited to 200 participants. D. This same restriction should be applied to community groups that join with or are sponsored by corporate or for-profit entities, i.e. hybrid contingents with explicit corporate branding. E. Contingents representing or including political parties, elected officials, and political candidates shall also be limited to 200 participants and should not march in a place of pride near the front of the Pride March. 4. Resistance contingent. A. The members of this coalition demand to march in the 2018 New York City Pride March as a unified group, as we did in the 2017 Pride March. B. This group will again be called the Resistance Contingent, in recognition of the ongoing unique oppression enacted by our community by the Trump administration. 5. Pride March routes. A. This coalition demands an honest and transparent explanation for the dramatic route change enacted by Heritage of Pride to the 2018 Pride March routes. B. This coalition also demands the representation in the logistical planning of the march moving forward. C. This coalition demands that the issues of accessibility for the disabled members of our community during the march be satisfactorily accommodated, including but not limited to issues such as people with disabilities will travel to the Pride Festival after the march. In closing, in addition to the above demands to HOP, the Reclaim Pride Coalition believes that HOP's management of the annual New York City Pride March, resulting in commercial and police saturation of the march among other acceptable characteristics, has led to decades-long conflict with and the alienation of many individuals and groups within the New York City LGBTQ community. The Repride Claim Coalition calls on HOP to relinquish control of the management of the Pride March following the 2018 Pride March and engage in a process of opening up the organization and control of this important event to the community the Pride March grew out of and should continue to represent.
Well, thank you so much for listening to these demands. Here's an envelope addressed to you with a copy of them. And we look forward to further dialogue with HOP in regards to these demands in the coming weeks.
Sounds great.
Town hall!
Thank you, guys.
Because there will be a town hall held.
Oh yes, there will be a town. Oh yes, there will be a town hall held on May 5th, facilitated by Ann Northrup, and we will be asking for a response by May 3rd as a result.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Did you tell me May 4th?
It's the town hall,
That's the town hall. So we're requesting that the demands are the day before. So,
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
we can talk about it.
yeah.
Ignore our eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Reclaim Pride!
Thank you.